Are you ready to get casual? Grab your favorite adult beverage or combustible plant and join us for our roundtable TTRPG discussion. Oh yeah, it's time for Casual Friday. And now, here are your hosts.
Don't call it a comeback. I am ready to get casual. My name is Jim. That's Brad. That's Ryan. This is Casual Friday, and is also GMs on GMs on GMs. Because, hey, welcome everyone to the show. We are going to be giving you all the newest news in the tater pig industry. And first up, the first thing we want to talk about is just yesterday, I believe. Variety, right? That was Variety put up a video. Variety likes to, they are the YouTube, at least on YouTube, they do the actors on actors thing where they have two famous people ask each other questions. Well, they had GMs on GMs. They didn't specifically call it that, I think, but Brennan Lee Mulligan and Matt Mercer sat down for about an hour to just talk Dungeons and Dragons, which is pretty amazing, right, guys? What do you think? Top of the head thoughts.
It's a great exchange. Like, it's hard to call it an interview because the guys, they know each other, they're friends, and they're just kind of bantering back and forth. But a lot of great content in there.
Yeah, it was great. It was gems on gems. I mean, watch this show first, but then go watch that.
Obviously, yeah. Don't click away. Don't click away. So we all took some notes. Ryan, you took notes. Do you want to go through yours first?
I'm not sharing my notes with you guys. They're trying to like copy my homework. 20 minutes and 25 seconds into it. So it doesn't off the dome. Brennan talks about pacing, and this is probably subjective. This is one of the things I don't think I'm the worst at, so much as I put the most effort into or the most thinking into, at least at this like phase of my game mastering career. Like, you go through cycles of like what you're working on. And like earlier in this interview, they laid out all the different things the GM is doing, and they do it in the sense of a movie production, because they're sitting on the Variety set. It's like a game master is an actor and a director and an editor. And the editing part is the thing that is the most meta skill that I'm focused on. And in perhaps the most highfalutin reference anyone can make, he references Seven Samurai, and in the same breath, Murakami movies. So that kind of corrects for it. But this Japanese concept of ma, which I really like, and just this idea of setting the scene, taking a breath, giving your players a world to save, to care about. And that's the part that like I listened to twice. That's the part of this interview that I was like, this is the thing I just want everyone else to know about and hear. Because it is a very real like impulse to just like turn it up and turn it up and turn it up and turn it up, because that is how you build excitement. And like, all right, the fight's over, I need to throw more fight because this is a game about fighting. And it's actually the opposite, that leaning back a little bit, creating space for maybe the players to contribute to the story, but also to let it all breathe is peak D&D. And I don't see that spoken about enough. And that's something that I think a lot of DMs could use in their head, but also in their heart. Just that moment of like, oh, if I just take a little beat here, this game will be so much better. And I get to take a beat here. I get to take a breath and feel better.
Yeah, I really liked that too. Like, I made notes about that. And I remember a specific one shot I ran where I was doing exactly what they said not to do. I was just ramping up the tension with every, it was a, survival, like sci-fi survival horror theme. So it was, I was just driving the tension up with every encounter. And I actually gave one of my players anxiety. Like she like after the game, she was like, I was about to like bow out because it was too much. And I felt really bad afterwards. But yeah, pacing is something I I try to pay attention to. And with my 4 feuding factions game design that I use, I can always rely on bringing in another faction, right? So like if my players, typically the way I run a campaign is I put these 4 factions in a sandbox, and the players, will attach to one that they think is the bad guy, and they go after that faction. And then like the next story arc involves the next faction usually. But what I'll do is if I need to change pace, I'll bring in an NPC from a different faction. So if they're like on this breakneck pace hunting down the orc faction and I need to slow something down, I'll introduce an NPC from the Fey faction who comes in as like super chill, kind of mysterious, aloof. And then they're like, what was that? And it plants a seed for upcoming encounters with the other faction, but it allows me to break up the pace and slow things down, or vice versa. If things are going really slow because they're trying to solve a mystery, for the faction of nobility, and things are kind of boring, orcs attack from the other faction, right? To borrow a line from Matt Colville, right? So you can use your different factions to switch up the pace. So that's the one way I do pacing in my games.
I liked that they were discussing the concept of Ma and Kurosawa, and I don't remember if it was Seven Samurai or Rashomon where Brennan was talking about the scene with the water falling in the buckets, and as the idea of Ma is like the idea of negative space, of quietness in opposition to loudness. It's kind of hard to describe, but it's the idea of like you have high beats and you have low beats, and I really like, I can't remember which one of them said it, but I think Matt said the stakes don't matter unless you're reminded of what you're fighting for. Right. This is very similar to something I say all the time. I've said it in Casual Friday in a lot of my videos that emotional connections create stakes.
Right.
That's the same thing, that the water falling in the buckets, we care, we care about these people, we care about this town. And the emotional connections create the stakes. So I was really glad that they pointed that out. And it was funny when Brennan said Ma, and you can see Matt go like, ooh, like that Leonardo DiCaprio meme. He's like, yes, that. The first thing I wanted to point out that Matt was wearing one of my favorite t-shirts in this video. It wasn't the t-shirt. Do you guys know about the I Beat Classic Games t-shirt?
I don't.
Matt has 2 very famous t-shirts. One of them, he hasn't worn it in a while, but I believe someone custom made a t-shirt for him. It's like retro 80s, and it says I Beat Classic Games. But then, Matt is very fond of wearing a vest. And so when he puts the vest on, the text reads, I can see Brad's got it already. It says, I eat ass. And I don't think he wanted to wear that on Variety, but he did wear the shirt that says, how do I get it? The collection mailbox has no faith in your psychopathic manipulations. Something like that. It's a line from a video game. The collection mailbox has no faith in your psychopathic manipulations. Anyway. That's something I noted. I love that shirt. That's great. That's a great line. There's something very, very interesting. There's something that was said at the beginning of the video and then again near the end of the video that Brennan said that when he did market research for Dimension 20, which I assume means like he went to Sam and said, here's how I think that if we do a D&D show, it'll make money. He said that he mostly based it on Critical Role success. And which is funny because then later at the end of the show, when Matt was explaining how he was pitching Vox Machina to Amazon, he used Dropout, or no, not Vox Machina, it was launching Beacon. It was like he used Dropout success as a model for launching Beacon, and it's like the little D&D Ouroboros eating itself in a beautiful way. But what Brennan said that I think he said I really liked that was that Dimension 20 was partially based on their limitations. Like, because they couldn't do live video, they said, well, then we can lean into doing sets and we can film things after and insert them. And so the fact that they had creative limitations meant that they had to lean into other things differently than like the way that Critical Role does it. They're like, well, let's recreate Critical Role success, but we can't live stream every Thursday. So how do we make it? How do we still get eyeballs on it? And then there's something he said at the end I really liked where he said, the Mercer effect is me and all my friends having a job. It's a great quote.
I love that. And I love the wholesome delight of Mercer being like, oh, really? Like, you don't know that, man? Like, yeah. Critical Role being successful has spearheaded a lot of other people being successful. And they talk about that for a long time, too, which we'll get into. But, oh, man, the idea of... Well, no, let's talk about it. The idea that they are not in competition, right? Like, having these two guys sit down and talk. And Brennan talks about, like, his brother's like, hey, you go on this guy's show, but, like, he's your main competition, right? But it's like, not really. One, it's, like, very rewarding on an emotional level. We're friends. But two, it's also it's beneficial from, like, the quantitative numbers go up side of the coin. And as someone in a bigger ocean and a much smaller fish, like, man, all of this collaboration has just been wonderful. Like the show that you're watching right now, it is so in line with the spirit of D&D and the creative epoch that we're in. And it just flies in the face of that scarcity mindset where I have to protect my piece of the pie because if you get any crumbs, then I'm eating less. And that is patently false. And I still see it in corners of this hobby of like, if people are playing a way I don't like, then my way is endangered or something. Like my identity is in danger. No, wrong. And like, sorry you feel that way. It sucks. Come into the bright side of things. It's dope. They're having a good time. We're having a good time. And they're helping each other. It's insane that you can do this, period, and make money. And that they are helping each other do it is beautiful. Incredible.
Yeah, but Brennan said, Dungeon Master is a brand new job in entertainment that didn't exist a decade ago. And then they talked about who could have seen this coming. And, you know, I think Brennan was referring to Jeff Bezos a little bit when Bezos was like, there's a space in the book market and that's what Bezos did. It was like, there's a space in that market. I'm going to fill it. These myths about Bezos being a huge book lover, not true. Not true. He saw space in the market and took it. But they were like imagining if that was D&D, and Brennan was like, I picked a game that got your head put in toilets. No one could have predicted that this would be a job in 2026.
Yeah, no doubt. One of the things that I appreciated was his description of Brennan's 10-year-old self when he was talking about the first time he played D&D. And, you know, his mom says, so how did it go? And he goes, at 10, he says, that was the most stressful day of my life. Can we do it again next week?
Right.
And I think that's, you know, I think as Dungeon Masters, I think we all kind of like connect with that, right? Like the idea of like, this is like one of the most stressful hobbies you can inflict upon yourself. But it's insanely rewarding. And now that it, you know, has grown to be a much more popular thing, like, I mean, I've got friends that want to play. I could run games, you know, 3-4 nights a week if, you know, if I was single and didn't have kids.
Yeah. Something else. Brennan sort of said that Critical Role is doing something with live action. And I didn't know if he threw it out there in a list of all things, like you're doing comics, you're doing live action, you're doing blah, blah, blah. And I was like, wait, is that known? I don't know if that's known.
There were two moments. There were two, like, spoiler tag, like, retractions. Brennan said that about Matt, and then Matt was like, oh, I guess you can't talk about that yet. And it's like, what more can you do? How are you doing all of the things you're already doing? Like, I'm into it. I'm sign me up. I'll see whatever the new thing is. But like, damn, these guys are busy.
Yeah. There was also the comment, and I don't know if it was a joke, but he said we're going to be interviewing Oscar-winning actors before long about D&D. And I didn't know if that was an allusion to something that's upcoming.
Yeah, if the Critical Role's movement into live action has been theorized and discussed, and we don't know. We got a lot to get to on the show today, but there was one other quote here I wanted to make sure that I said because I thought it was very, very beautiful. Where Matt said D&D is, or role-playing games are, an underappreciated invitation to be creative in a world that tells you you can't be.
Creative and collaborative, he mentioned that, which absolutely agree. That like RPGs give you a chance to participate in a collaborative process it's really like very few other things. Like the closest thing I can compare the collaborative process to is sports. Like the kind of relationship I have with like the high school kids I used to coach. Like I can run into them and they can say, "Hey coach, do you remember when this happened?" And this is stuff that happened like 20 years ago. But that's the same kind of thing that happens when I run into my old high school buddies and they're like, "Remember that D&D campaign that we blah, blah." It's just like those memories are entrenched. Like there's something about the collaborative process that locks memories in your head, because I can go years without thinking about either of those two things. I run into one of my old players, basketball players, or one of my old D&D players, and like the memories unlock. And
it's wild when it's like, remember when we raided that orc village and burned it to the ground? The memories you make with your friends.
And why I really love playing whatever published adventures. I mean, I like homebrew too, don't get me wrong. But I've been to that orc village. Like, we made friends with that guy that you murdered. Like, it's so that like opens the circle even wider of like the Roomba at my friendly neighborhood game shop is named Meepo. And it's like, yes. Perfect.
Nice.
Yeah.
So moving on to the next thing that we're going to do. I know what's going to happen. These guys don't. We're going to have a little surprise game. I'm bringing back a game. It's been a while. We're going to play Name That Move. I know everybody at home was shouting along with me. Okay, so here's what's going to happen. I am going to give you the name of a 2024 5e monster ability. You're going to tell me which monster it belongs to, but I think I've been too harsh in the past. I decided on multiple choice this time.
Ooh, okay.
So chat, you feel free to throw out your answers if you know. So here we go. The first monster ability is called Nightmare Ray. Is that the Chain Devil, the Spectator, the Githzerai Dracomancer, or the Oni?
I'm going with Oni on this one.
Okay. I was between two, so I will take Spectator.
You're going to vote Spectator?
Yeah. I'm saying it's not A or C.
The Nightmare Ray belongs to the Oni.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, we only got 5 of these. Moving on, Spiteful Escape. Is that from the these are multiple choice, but I did make some that were very deliberately difficult. Spiteful Escape, is that vampire spawn, archhag, minotaur, or is that Vecna himself?
All right, Ryan, you go first this time since I went first last time.
Okay, I'm between B and D. I'm gonna take archhag.
I was gonna take archhag, but someone in the chat was like my ex. I was cracked up.
Heyo.
Yeah. Vampire spawn have well, I don't know if actually vampire spawn do, but vampires have like now I'm fog. You can't see me.
Yep.
But it's not spiteful. Minotaur, they only go in one direction and it's forward, right? So it's gotta be Vecna's got all sorts of crazy shit. And I don't know what's the 2024 versus the 2014 versus what the book. Archhag, final answer.
Archhag is the guess. Archhag is the answer.
Yeah.
Now, Banishing Claw. Is this the Arcanoloth, the Aboleth, the Bearded Devil, or the Adult Gold Dragon? Yes, I did not go that deep into the monster manual. I know.
I'm going Adult Gold Dragon.
That's a good guess. These metallic dragons have a lot of like, this is ending the fight, but you're fine.
Right.
It's not an aboleth. Bearded Devil's got some spice on, but I'm gonna go Arcana Loth. I get the neutral chthonic guys confused all the time. I think Arcana Loth is the jackal who seeks knowledge, right? Ooh, an Arcana Loth. They got claws.
Okay, and Brad, you're voting Gold Dragon?
Yes.
All right, the correct answer is the Arcana Loth.
There you go, Ryan.
Yeah, the Arcana Loth is like a Rakshasa who's interested in knowledge, sort of, I think. Don't at me if I got that wrong. Next, Fell Word. Is this the Night Hag, the Cloud Giant, the Death Knight, or that Rakshasa I just mentioned?
My turn? I'm going to go Death Knight.
I'm going to go with the Rakshasa. I know we were just talking about it, so I don't know. We'll see.
Oh,
Yeah, that's called priming. I think he did that to you.
Brad votes for D. Oh, wow. Hey, thanks, Agile Monk.
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
So Brad votes for D, and Ryan is voting for, you said Death Knight?
Death Knight. I ran Night Hags last night, and I'm pretty sure I missed some of the things because it's a big stat block, but I'm pretty sure that wasn't in there. I love halfway through fights like, they have advantage on all of their saves. Damn. I thought they were going to Castle Ravenloft. I didn't prep the Night Hags. That was months ago. Sorry. Cloud Giants don't do fell nothing unless it's like they're dropping stuff on you, but I don't think it's that. There's a lot of clever play on words, but I don't think it's that.
Dropping
so I'm
words.
going Death Knight.
You guys ever heard of that Cloud Giant rapper? All right, so the correct answer is the Death Knight.
I'm great at this game. I didn't know existed 5 minutes ago.
I think we got one more. Finally, I think this is the last one. Giggling
Right.
Magic. Is this the Scarecrow, the Adult Copper Dragon, the Red Slad, or the Myconid Sovereign?
Say slot again for me.
Slad.
Slad.
Slade. Slayod. Slaad.
Slaad.
Slaad. I'm going to pronounce it like there's an apostrophe in there. Like it's a Hawaiian word. Slaad.
Slot. Ooh, that's like a slot with like a lay on. Like that's a dude I want to chill with much more than the regular.
And it's a little ukulele. Ding, ding,
He's
ding,
just
ding. Curse of
All right, guys,
Slod. You got it right.
This is now what we're doing. Forget the rest of the scheduled programming. We're doing Hawaiian tiki themed slot adventure.
It's a Slod tourist island. It's a tourist island run by Slod Eye. There you go. It's
There you
like
go.
Fantasy
Tourist
Island.
trap. Tourist trap.
Oh,
Actually, Jim, you've already made this. This is what the Mimic Cafe is. I'm going to go Copper Dragon. Again, this is one of those things there's like Metallic Dragon shuts down the fight. You shouldn't have been fighting it in the first place. Now you look like an idiot. But even though I could eat you, you're fine. You all have your hit points still. That's my guess.
All right, Brad, you agree?
I agree.
The answer is the Adult Copper Dragon.
Yes.
I think that's the last one. Yeah, that's the last one. So let me share the other thing here because that's the next thing we do on the show.
We should take time off more often because Jim comes up with like cool stuff when we leave him alone for a while.
Well, I know it's been a long time since we've done a game. And so I thought of that one.
Yeah.
It's good.
So moving on to the next thing that we were going to talk about is what we're doing right now. So also in other news, things and stage. In other news, MCDM is already announcing their next thing. Hot on the heels of Drawsteel just coming out 6 months ago, and not only that, but them announcing a 2026 Drawsteel expansion. Wait, or was it an adventure? Crack
Adventure.
the Sun was adventure?
It's a big adventure.
Or campaign, maybe?
They won't say it because they might get sued if they do, but it's their, if you put the pieces together, it's their version of Red Hand of Doom.
Oh.
And there's a bunch of
okay.
other like bonus stuff in there, but it's their first campaign book.
Copy that. Well, anyway, MCDM has now announced Crows, which is a new RPG led by James Introcaso of the 4E fame, I believe. Right? He worked on 4E. Pretty sure he did.
And some 5 stuff.
And some 5 stuff. And so they are announcing Crows, which is, they're calling a survival horror dungeon crawling roleplay game, which essentially, based on what I've read on it, it seems like they took Draw Steel and OSR'd it.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's based on things like experience is based on how much gold you bring out of the dungeon. And health is based on inventory slots. It's sort of like, it's very Navy, like Knave, not Navy, not the military
it's like,
branch, but
what?
like Knave. You know, the
Boats?
game Knave.
Boats.
It's
Knave.
based
The boat
on,
guys?
it's a boating dungeon crawler. No. So it is based on the idea like Knave is like there aren't classes in Knave. You pick up the wand of magic missile and now you're a wizard. Then you put that down, pick up sword, now you're a fighter. It's sort of more like that where it does have classes, but it's more based on the gear you have and that sort of stuff. Crows does share one part of its core DNA with Draw Steel, the power roll. So it is like a version of Draw Steel. Results, that's all about that. And characters get their abilities to do cool stuff like cast spells. Equipment enhances wanding spellcaster. Anyone who has a melt spell book can attempt to cast a melt spell, which is like Knave and some other OSR games that are out there. I don't know a whole lot about this. Do you guys have any thoughts on this already?
I mean, I don't know that
I don't-
anybody knows too much about it, but I do like the people at MCDM being like, we're going to lean in to the crunchy, heroic, superhero fantasy side of things as hard as we can, because that's what people expect from a D&D experience. And all of the people who we have lost and alienated because they want the other kind of D&D experience where it's much more old school and not crunchy but gritty, and it's the player doing stuff more than the character. They're like, yeah, sure, we got you. We're going to do our version of that too, and we're going to frame it like the first, I don't know if the first paragraph, but like the second or third paragraph of that. It's like, this is going to be like Draw Steel in that the engine is the same, but you don't get all of the crazy, crunchy shit that keeps you alive forever. It's just like the list of details from Draw Steel that they're not bringing into this game is how they like open their pitch. And I think that there's a market for this, and it's cool to see them. There's as someone who's like made some stuff, there's a very real desire to please everyone. So for them to go so hard one way and so hard the other, make sure that they're not getting chocolate in the peanut butter, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That's my take.
No, I 100% agree. It seems like a no-brainer from a business approach, right? Like you look at the success of games like Shadow Dark and Old School Essentials. MCDM is already good at design and layout. So
Not layout.
no, okay.
Sorry.
Hot take.
Ooh.
Wait, I got it. Wait, hold on. There we go. Say it again. Now say it again.
I didn't love the layout. Man, I'm making Jim hit that button like twice in a week. It's bad. I'm starting to get self-conscious now. I'm going out on a lot of limbs this week.
But yeah, they it seems like a no-brainer, just like Ryan was saying. Like you've got this like high energy heroic fantasy Draw Steel game, but you can if you can take the core of the system, boil it down the same way Shadow Dark does for 5e, or like Old School Essentials does for the older versions of D&D. Why not? And so yeah, just no brainer in my book.
They do make mention to Mouse Ritter specifically up here when talking about how inventory management works, and they describe inventory management as character building, which is an interesting philosophy. Like if you're constantly rearranging things in a character sheet by erasing and rewriting slots, things are going to be messy. We decided to take a page out of Mouse Ritter and use cards to represent items and give each player an inventory sheet for their character. This feels like, and the way here's an inventory sheet where you have hand, neck, gloves, boots, very specific, belt, waist, ring, head. It's very much like Morrowind. This is like very like old school Elder Scrolls vibe where you have on the screen you have the image, and it's like you actually drag the ring over there onto the hand. This is cool. I'm looking forward to checking this out.
Yeah, I'd be interested. I would be more interested in this than I would be playing Draw Steel. But that's me. I prefer the streamline games.
Yeah, I own the Draw Steel book. I skimmed it enough to know if I like it or not, and I determined that yes, I like it, and no, I'm not going to read it again to try to run it. I just can't. But I would love for someone to run Draw Steel for me. If you're interested in providing that service, I think these guys would probably also like to come too, and we'll show up if you run Draw Steel for us. I'd love to play it, but I'm not gonna learn that game to run it.
Yeah, I will play just about any game. If you want to volunteer to run us a game the way like Twin Steel ran Nimble for us, I'll play just about any game. But yeah, I'm with Jim. I'm kind of picky about what I'm willing to run, just because see aforementioned comment about the most stressful thing in my life.
This is interesting. They're talking about real-time lights here, like in Shadow Dark, like real-time torches. And instead of real-time, which I know some people love in Shadow Dark, some people do not love the real-time torches, but they have usage dice to determine how things last. I am a fan of Introcaso, and I am excited about this because if he can make this kind of inventory management fun, I'm all for it. Sometimes it can get fiddly.
I really like the Shadow Dark timer because it's really clean and simple. My house rule for it, not that I've run a ton of Shadow Dark, is you can pause the timer. Like, I got to go pee, guys. We're pausing the clock on the torch. Like, whatever.
Yeah, I sometimes use real life timers in sessions, and I've had mixed results with it. Sometimes you can throw down I can actually have a set of like 6 different sand timers I got from Amazon for like $7. And I can pull out the 5, and I've got a little box, so I've got 1, 3, 5, 10, 15, 30. I can pull out the 10 and slap it down and say 10 minutes of real life time. And some players are like, ooh, yeah. And some people are instantly like, whoa, that's not fair. Because, sometimes there's never a one-to-one with conversations above table and conversations in game, unless you're one of those weirdo 4D people. And we don't care about them anyway. But like I've done that before. I remember I did that once where I slammed down, like they were trying to, I've kind of referenced this many, many times. They were trying to persuade the queen to allow them access to the Forbidden Lands. And I was like, it's not going to be easy because she doesn't let anyone into the Forbidden Lands. And they were like, well, we're going to do it. And I put down a 10-minute timer. And a couple of them were like, okay, I see. All right, yeah, I got it. And a couple people were like, harumph. I don't know if I'm on board with this. So
I like the literal timer for Shadow Dark. In fact, if my screen was full size, you'd see there's an hourglass behind me, and that's what I use. It's a literal hourglass, except for it's not super precise, which is ideal because I've timed it a few times, and it varies anywhere between like 55 minutes to like an hour and 5 minutes. So it's a little unpredictable, which is really cool.
That's fascinating to me. I don't know much about, I just assumed it would always be the same if they put the right amount of sand in it. But like, what is that, the barometer? Is that like the humidity, the temperature? Hot sand goes faster? What's doing that?
I think it's because it sits on the table. And like, there's like so much energy at the table, like people are banging on the table and that sort of stuff. Like,
interesting. So like you bang on the table, you're speeding it up.
Yeah, I think the players haven't figured that out yet, but I'm pretty sure that's what's happening. It's like the more energetic they are, Like the more stuff that hits the table, the faster the timer goes. Hopefully they're not watching.
Time flies when you're having fun. Literally, it's not just your perception.
Okay. So this is quite an extensive. This is on MCDM's Patreon, but this is not paywalled.
It's like a
This
public.
is a free post. It's a public post, right? Thank you. Crows is about dungeon crawling. There's home base building. This seems for OSR, it's pretty. I mean, I guess do they actually specifically say it's OSR? I was gonna say it's kind of complex for OSR, but I don't know if they actually call it that.
OSR means too many things now.
Yeah.
It's like, as someone like I likes a lot of the sensibilities of like old school. I think the not marvelness, like right, like the not super heroic aspect is what they're going for here. Like your character is mortal. I think is the big takeaway. And it is a little lighter on the character building side of things. Those go hand in hand. It's like, oh, you got a dope sword. You're a dope sword guy now. You want to trade that in for a magic wand later? Cool. We're not going to have a 20-minute conversation about what is the optimal way to multi-class here. Drop your sword. Pick up the wand. Tell me when you're bored of it. You can get the sword back if you survive.
Nice. Any final thoughts on Crows before we move on to the next thing? All right, so now we're going to do that thing that I just said, and that's move on. Recently, we've heard there was an email that just went out. The email went out about a week and a half ago, and then again today, sort of as a reminder for this. But then there was this blog post also that D&D Beyond is now saying that they are going to announce partnered content that's coming instead of just surprise dropping it. And so they've put out a schedule for all the things that are going to be coming, including bringing like high-selling DM's Guild stuff, including exploring Eberron, Pugilist class, some of the stuff from Faster Purple Worm, Kill. Remember that on the streaming their streaming channel nobody watched, or streaming TV channel. I also made a video about it and nobody watched that either. Heliana's Guide to Monster Hunting, Griffin's Saddlebag, and then our vision for partner content. When exploring partner content to add a D&D Beyond, we're thoughtful about the creators we bring in and the experiences we present to you. We look for projects that integrate smoothly with our evolving play tools. Blah, 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 blah. The evaluation of partner content is approached with care, curiosity, blah, blah, blah. Treat D&D Beyond as a curated experience, one where you can discover great partnered content. Which I feel like is them saying, don't email us asking if we can put your DM's Guild thing on D&D Beyond. We will contact you. But so I have a tinfoil hat thing I want to put on here real quick and throw at you guys. So they're announcing Keith Eberron, his new
Keith Eberron Baker.
Keith Eberron Baker's new Baker book. Keith Eberron's book on baking is coming to the DM's Guild. And what's funny is, remember, it was about a year ago, he said he had that really sad announcement where he's like, can't make money on the DM's Guild anymore, so I reckon I'm going to have to stop the Eberron now. And I wonder if, but now he's announced all these new Eberron books. There's new stuff coming to DM's Guild and directly to D&D Beyond. I wonder if when he said that, if WotC didn't pull him aside and go, hey, Keith, you're like the top selling guy on DM's Guild, so if you say you can't make any money there, that kind of makes us look pretty bad. So how about we give you some money to bring stuff over and you stop saying bad stuff about because he hasn't said anything about it since then. And now he's got all these deals with WotC, so I don't know. What do you guys think? That's my tinfoil hat.
Yeah, I think if the truth hurts, let it. Like, WotC was like, ouch, that stings, Keith. You gotta stop saying that. And so they did something about it. That seems like I buy it. I buy your theory.
Yeah. DM's Guild ain't what it used to be. And they haven't been doing much to support it or help it. I know my numbers are down a lot. And whatever. I'm not the canary in the coal mine. Um, and I think it's part of them not doing much of anything at all. Really. I mean, part of it is probably they're bringing stuff into the D&D Beyond atmosphere, and that is actually pulling away from DM's Guild. But a perfect case in point, I got this email and I was like, oh, sweet, the roadmap. I can't wait to, one, read it, and then two, talk about it. And this is actually the roadmap about what is coming from other people. And we still we don't have the 2026 roadmap of what WotC's doing.
Right,
and I think we're just in such a rebuilding era that like maybe energy starts flowing back into the DM's Guild eventually, but there's a lot of new faces, a lot of new efforts, and they're just kind of picking up the pieces.
Yeah, you made a really excellent point that the things from the DM's Guild moving over to D&D Beyond really is a double-edged sword, isn't it? And that it's great for them, and it's great to get eyes on third-party content. But also now there's a population of people who will not browse DM's Guild because they're going to think, well, the good stuff will just end up on D&D Beyond, so why would I sift through the trash over there?
Right.
And you want a healthy farm team, right? And when you're whatever in the World Series, like maybe you're putting less energy into your farming structure, and that's a very bad long-term strategy that you don't feel the difference in the short term. So like super happy for like Griff, like awesome. And what's interesting is like the Griffin Saddlebag book 1 is coming this quarter because they already did book 2, which is a newer run, right? Because that's how books work. And apparently it must have been pretty successful in D&D Beyond for them to be like, oh yeah, we should bring the other one over too now that has been on DM's Guild for a while. Heliana's part 2 on the 2014 rule set. So they're bringing in older stuff that's been around for a while. And in part they talk about like how it integrates with their own, internal systems, which I know some people in the audience really love the encounter builder and maps or whatever. I don't use much of that. It's a really cool concept. And again, the community working together, the pie gets bigger, everybody wins. The DM's Guild was a great system for that. And I hope they invest in it more. I hope it gets better. I hope it gets back to the glory days of like, there's a ton of cool stuff. Because I found a ton of cool people, including some of them, on DM's Guild because it was the place to be. It was the place to go get content. And when I first started publishing stuff, I did it on DM's Guild because it was the place to be. And it could be again. And I hope they do invest in it more.
Well, I mean, we just talked about James Intercasso, right? Who's designing for MCDM now. He's like their lead designer. He cut his teeth on DM's Guild, or at least he did some considerable work on DM's Guild. And look at James Hake, who just got promoted to the new, what is he, game design director or whatever at WotC. The bulk of his work, if I'm remembering right, was all on DM's Guild. Him and Sean Merwin, they did a whole bunch of stuff on DM's Guild, and now Hake has been been given a full-time job at WotC, right? So looking at DM's Guild like a farm system is, makes a lot of sense because, in our last 3 shows, we just talked about 2 guys who started in DM's Guild and are now lead designers for one for WotC and one for MCDM.
Yeah.
What Hake and Merwin were working on was mostly the Adventures League stuff, which also seems to be a missed opportunity right now. Like I'm not a big Adventures League guy, but that was huge and such a cool concept of like, here's a corollary. We come out with a big adventure and we come out with a bunch of side adventures that you can run at game shops, and here is the perfect on-ramp to D&D in general, and a welcome open door to the community, and a good way to go get like hours in DMing. And to not be investing in that seems very short-sighted. Like, it's wild that there isn't a online portal to find an Adventures League game, right? Like,
right,
there's things that you can go to start playing, right? But the fact that there is no D&D Beyond like LFG board, I mean there is, but like not not in a way that is supported and
Right.
tooled out.
Yeah,
So it's strange.
I think they want you to get in their Discord for that. They want everyone in their Discord. This is an interesting little disclaimer right here. I guess the Helleniana's Guide to Monster Hunting has a class called the Tamer, and cannot be included due to the site's tech limitations. Because it's one thing to take a PDF and reformat it for D&D Beyond. It's another thing to include a class or because that is going to be, that's interesting. Because now if I come to D&D Beyond and I buy a book here, and then find out I can't use some of that material on D&D Beyond, that's, well, no, I guess they said that it's just straight up not in there. Not that you can't use it, but that's, but can I go, I can go buy this book on the DM's Guild and actually get a better version of it because it will have more content in it. So that, I don't know, probably not a huge problem, but something that's going to be worked out if, like, at what level does something get popular enough that they will actually have their devs go code it into the site.
Apparently the Pugilist.
Apparently the Pugilist. Yeah, that's kind of a famous one almost. Hey, Nacho. So but we got to move on because we still got a few more things we got to get to. So I found this Kickstarter that's still going on for, oops, let me move back to the beginning there.
I'm still chuckling about a class called the Tamer, just because Tamer has a specific role in the BDSM community.
I'm a red-blooded man on the internet, and that's a new one to me.
I didn't know what that is.
We all got our rabbit holes. We're deep down.
So there is a Kickstarter for a new TTRPG called Dungeon Inc., a reverse dungeon TTRPG by the Merry Mushmen, who I don't know who those people are, but it's currently less than halfway through, and it is $102,000 out of $5,000 funded, which I can't believe $5,000, $5,962. There's no way if they had made exactly that much, they would have been ruined. If they'd funded it only at $6,000, they would all be financially ruined as a result. That's the risk you take with Kickstarter. Either you hit it big or you get financially ruined, and there isn't a whole lot of in between. But this Dungeon Inc. basically.
Hey everybody, you can do it, but you got to be very careful and very smart. You know why I'm successful? Moderately, because I got no overhead. Because if I did things slightly differently, I would have been ruined. So be careful out there.
Yeah, Dungeon Inc. is basically like an OSR version of AC Inc., where you are a little monster, you're a little gerblin or kobold or whatever, and you work in a dungeon, and you have a boss, and you have objectives, and you have a quota of adventurers you have to fight, and 128-page hardback, and it's got a little bit of Triangle Agency feel to it, in that as you go on, you learn things about the company you work for, about the monster company you work for. And so I just thought this was kind of fun. Sort of like Acquisitions Inc. for evil.
So the Merry Mushmen have been around for a little bit, and they do cool stuff. They're in this like sweet pocket of gonzo that holds together. So much gonzo is just like, here's everything, and it doesn't have to make sense. And in like the next room, there's a vampire having dinner, and in the next room, it's something that has nothing to do with anything, and it doesn't know that there's a vampire in the next room. In my limited experience, I haven't like dug deep into their catalog, but they are doing zany stuff that has a through line, and ooh, that's good. They also produce Knock, which is a anthology, I guess is the word for it. They go find dope blog articles and stuff in that like OSR sphere of like game theory, and just like here's a weird list of D40 goblin alcohols or something, and like compile that and illustrate it and make very cool versions. So if you want to dip your toe into something, I highly recommend getting your hands on at least a PDF of the Knock series, Knock.
Not sure we're going to be discussing this in about 15 minutes. If you can stay that long.
Catch
Brad,
me
you
on the
got
replay.
Brad, you got thoughts here? I like this art.
Yeah, the it looks cool. I don't have too many thoughts beyond what Ryan already said.
Sorry, I stole your thunder.
Their inspirations are Don John and The Office.
That's a great way to sum it up. That says everything.
All right, excuse me, guys. I'll be back in 2 minutes. I have to back this Kickstarter. They got me. They got me there.
There's actually an indie RPG. Is it called Goblin Town? It's a little indie RPG that has the kind of a similar concept, except for it being in a dungeon. You're literally role playing as the players a town of goblins. So your goblins go out and they do like adventuring stuff just like you would with any fantasy RPG. But then you come back and pool your resources and you try to build your goblin town to protect yourself from the humans. So it has this kind of like resource management aspect to it as you build up your little goblin village. I haven't played it. I've read it and it's like sitting on the shelf back there, and I've just been wanting to play it for a long time.
It's called Goblin Town?
I think it's something like that.
Huh.
The thing, like, we are goblins, but I think that's like Pathfinder modules.
Yeah,
It's
that's a
not
Pathfinder.
Kobolds Ate My Baby, is it?
No.
Okay.
Maybe hey, chat, help us out.
Chat,
I know
help us out
exactly
if you
what
know.
you're. I think we've had a conversation before about this, like, goblin, like, tower defense D&D hybrid.
Oh, you can get a quick start PDF right on the Kickstarter. So we've got to move on. 'Cause we got to make sure that we can get to our after catch-up topic before Nacho has to leave. Nacho, the show's for you. So now's the part of the show where we do. Yes, thank you, Nacho. Well said. Now's the part of the show where we do what's called the catch-up, where we just say what's going on and what we've been up to, what we got coming up. So, how about you guys? Who wants to catch us up first?
It's called Goblinville. I just found it. You can find it on Drive-Thru RPG by Narrative Dynamics. Is who puts it out? Goblinville, and like the cover of the rule books is called the Goblinville Gazette. That's what it is. Goblinville. I found it. I was at Sundance Film Festival last week, so I did not do any RPG stuff. But Sundance was a blast. It was unseasonably warm in Utah, which made it very easy to get out and about and see a bunch of films. Highly recommend Hassan Shake Your Booty if you can find that film. It was a great, like, heartwarming story with like some fantastic cinematography.
I took a couple of weeks off because I had some health stuff going on, nothing too serious. But I took a couple of weeks off, and we are poised to go to Castle Ravenloft for the first time because my players have been avoiding it for months. So I experienced a level of DM anxiety. Like, there's always a baseline level, which actually was another thing that was very good to hear Mercer say. Going back to that variety thing of just acknowledging that, like, okay, the best person who you're intimidated by is also anxious as hell for the first 15 minutes of the game and the 20 minutes leading up to it every time. But for the first time in a while, I was like, whoa, I am in over my head here. They could go into, like, there's 87 rooms here. They could easily, I don't know where they're going to end up. And there's like major plot points all over the map here. We're in the middle of this huge story that it all interconnects here, and they could talk to this person, and that means I have to know what's been going on their thread. So like for the first time in a long time, I was like, whoa, man, I am going to do a bad job today. And I did my homework, and like because I put it all in my brain, but like I really front load my prep. So it's been a year almost since I read all of this. So I spent a lot of time going through it, getting ready. I didn't feel great, but like I was like, oh, we're gonna get through this, and they're probably gonna go through 5 rooms. I don't need to have 100 in my head. And they did something else. And at the end, I told them, I was like, all right, cool. Yeah, I didn't prepare that at all. And it was a great session. Everyone was locked in, a lot of character development, very, very cool stuff. So it's just like, I don't know. I don't have my physical notes in front of me, or I would throw them over my shoulder at this point. That's how it goes sometimes. You never know what's coming.
Yep.
And that's what makes, I think that's what makes D&D the best. Like the exploration is busted because it's like overland travel is not good, but like actually exploration is the sense of discovery and not knowing what's going to come up around the corner. And the dungeon master can get that just as much, if not more, than the players. So you should seek that. If that doesn't really ring true for you, maybe let go a little bit of the prep and find out what it's like when you're surprised, because it can be delightful and terrifying. Also, but you're already terrified, so you might as well enjoy the delight.
You're already terrified, so have fun. I'm playing an Estrad campaign, and we just got to Barovia after a different opening adventure, and I'm playing a spy, and they've almost got me figured out. I'm not working against the party, but I just have my own secret goals that I don't want to tell them. But they've almost got me figured out. They know something's really weird with my character. They're like, "Why do you have that?" And why do you know that? And yeah, they're on to me. It's very fun. So moving on to the next thing that we are going to talk about is that we just recently learned that Brandon Sanderson, who has for a very long time not had his works adapted to television, basically sold all of his Cosmere to Apple TV. And he is, where does it say about the deal is rare, where he will get control over screen translations, be the architect, he'll write, produce, and consult, and will have approvals. That's more than Rowling or George R.R. got over their series, which is pretty incredible. And that makes me happy because sometimes when you see great works get handed off to other people, those other people think they know better and they make changes to those works. I would refer you to the last couple of seasons of Game of Thrones. When they were following George's stories, the show was really good. When they ran out of George's stories, not so much.
Right.
So, this isn't directly TTRPG related, except for that Brando Sando has a Cosmere game. I love the Mistborn series. I have not read Stormlight Archive because I don't know. I don't know if I have the emotional space in my life to start another 1,000-page book series, knowing that he plans 10 of them. He said there's going to be at least 10 of them. That's 10,000 pages. I don't know when or if I'll ever be ready for that commitment. But Mistborn's incredible. Yeah. This is big news. What do you guys think?
I think it could be fantastic. Like, could this be like Game of Thrones but better? Like that would be impressive if it was, because I mean, Game of Thrones really like grabbed the cultural zeitgeist by the throat for about 5 or 6 years. And so, could we see that happen again with another fantasy series? And if we do, what kind of impact will that have on our gaming community? Right. I definitely know people that were interested in D&D once Game of Thrones got super popular. Right. So I don't think we attribute Game of Thrones to the popularity of 5th edition as much as we do like Stranger Things and Critical Role. but I definitely think it had an impact. So yeah. So a new fantasy series that's actually good and gets a bunch of people hooked, that could be pretty sweet.
100%. Game of Thrones does not get mentioned enough when discussing 5e's popularity. I think you're right. There was no direct relation between liking Game of Thrones and wanting to play D&D, but what Game of Thrones did was it made it okay to talk about swords in the break room at work.
Right.
That's important because, there were fantasy swords and sorcery shows in the 2000s and the 90s, and they were popular, but they weren't phenomenons. If you were talking about some swords and sorcery, if you were talking about Xena Warrior Princess at work in 2003, they were going to think you were a nerd, right?
Right.
You're like,
Yep.
Xena, where the wars fights people with swords and there's magic and crap. Like, you're not getting that promotion if you're talking about Xena. But fast forward 10 years, you can talk about swords and magic, about Game of Thrones, and it's not nerdy. Everyone thinks it's the coolest freaking thing that's happened to television since The Sopranos,
It's like Game of Thrones walks so Stranger Things could run.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was like a stretch of years where like part of my like session 0 like preamble stuff would be like, are we tacking more? Is it Monty Python or Game of Thrones that we're looking at? That was like the spectrum. I don't mean the incest of what kind of game are we playing here? And yeah, it's funny. That's very insightful. That doesn't get mentioned at all. Where it's like the most popular entertainment thing is dragons, and that had nothing to do with like other dragon stuff becoming popular at the same time. Because like Stranger Things is sci-fi, gang. Like, they say D&D in it, and they use D&D words, but it's it's sci-fi. It's I'm totally blanking on what that game is. Anyway, I think this is going to be very cool. Maybe don't hit the hot take button, but here's something.
Oh, I'm gonna get ready though.
Sometimes it's actually good to have another set of eyes in the room. I like early Quentin Tarantino movies, and they were so good, and he became so successful that there's no one in there being like, "Hey, Quentin, maybe you should like, I don't know, change any of that. Maybe you should cut this down a little bit. Maybe you don't have to be in this movie." Like, no one tells that guy no, and his art suffers for it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
no, solid point. I 100% agree.
I don't think that's gonna 100% happen here. And that's not my first thought, but as the third person talking now who has to say something else, that's a real possibility. Because it was like, this is groundbreaking. I was like, no, nerds won. Like we've been rolling these out for a while now. What's so like controversial about like this deal that he got? It's surprising he hasn't got it already. And it's that creative control, which is dope. Don't get me wrong. Give me the creative over the industry guys in the office every time. I'm on team writer. Don't get it twisted. And the fact that it is movies and shows, I don't have like data to back it up, but I think the impact of Game of Thrones, it was greater and more prolonged because it was a series that lasted a long time compared to like Lord of the Rings. I'll watch Lord of the Rings before Game of Thrones on any given day, but Lord of the Rings happened and was over, and then happened and was over. A movie doesn't have the same sort of cultural impact over such a period of time that a series does if it's a good series, right? Like,
right, especially a series that's coming out every week, like not like Stranger Things where you're dropping 4 episodes or a whole season at once, right? When Game of Thrones was coming out once a week, like you talked about that one episode for the whole week at work, and then next week
Water
again.
cooler.
Yeah.
I do love binging a good thing. Like, I'm not going to read Stormlight until it's over. I've been hurt before, George R.R. Martin. But but we did lose something with this. Like, I want, like, my lizard brain wants the season to drop so I can watch it and finish it. But then I do that over the weekend, and I don't talk about it with anybody except for my wife. And half the time we're like, no, it's on still. We're like, having the gap between episodes allows you to reflect and like theory craft, and there's less of that these days. So I'm curious. Apple does do weekly drops.
Yeah.
They're not following the Netflix model, so I think that helps build prestige and impact, as well as, I don't know, viewer enjoyment, even if it's, we don't want it that way. They know what's better for us.
I think going to Apple TV was the right choice because they are the last prestige TV network. I mean, we'll see what happens to HBO once they get folded into the Netflix umbrella. But one thing that Apple TV does not have is they don't have a show where the stars of Severance face off against the cast of Pluribus in a series of outdoor challenges, which is what they do on Netflix. We're like, here's the stars of one Netflix show and stars of another, and that's why Netflix is not prestige TV. Apple TV is really the only network left that's not doing that. That's not doing like, they're not throwing out shows, even though that the metrics say people actually, they say they want prestige, but they actually want lowest common denominator. And Apple TV is doing what HBO and Netflix did at first, which was saying, yes, we know that, but we're still going to make prestige stuff because we want to be known that way, even though, if you look at what happened to Netflix, they were prestige. Lilyhammer, A House of Cards, their first Orange is the New Black, their first few series were highly known, and then all the numbers said, actually people just want to have something on in the background while they're looking at their phones, and everything changed. Anyway, you guys know all that. I don't know why I'm ranting about that. Everyone already knows.
Yeah,
this.
but just to give you an example of like the quality of Netflix, right? I clicked on trying to find something to watch with my wife, so I clicked on something I thought she would like, and it's new Netflix movie, and I'm like, this really sucks. So I look it up on my phone. It was a Lifetime movie from 2022 that Netflix has like put a new poster on the cover, right? And they're like, new on Netflix. It's not new. It's a freaking 3-year-old Lifetime movie.
Was it the Lifetime movie with Will Ferrell and who was opposite him? I can't remember, but there was a Lifetime movie with Will Ferrell. It's all tongue in cheek, very, very funny.
No, this was the Suitcase Murders. It was very Lifetime.
I gotta look it up now. Lifetime. Yes.
I think people want both, and this is totally just me assuming that how I work is how the rest of everybody works, which is a very stupid thing to do. But in this house, we always have the spooky show, right, which is the real thinker, and then we got the stupid show. Because some nights you're just like, I want to watch idiots compete in potato sack races for $100,000. Like, that's what you got in the tank some nights. But the idea that you only want that is a mistake, Netflix. Like, I am going to go subscribe to Apple because I'm waiting for Pluribus to be done, and I'm going to watch the hell out of that. Severance is the best thing ever. And I don't go tell everybody to go watch, well, Traders is pretty good. I'm telling people to watch Traders. That's a different thing. But I went around for months being like, you got to watch Severance is the best. We could talk about it. That was great. No one's talking about outdoor survival, Black Bean Edition, whatever the hell they're cranking out now.
I tried Traders. I can't do it. Alan Cumming dances around like he's Puck from A Midsummer Night's Dream, and it bothers me.
It's the best part. That's the best part. If you can't handle Alan, if you can't handle
like it.
The gayest version of Shakespeare, then you've never experienced. That's what it is. He's bringing it. That's what it's supposed to be. That's what it was.
The movie is called A Deadly Adoption, and my favorite memory of this is that when it came out, I remember everybody posted on Facebook, and I was talking about how much I liked it. And one of my in-laws from Texas was like, "That movie was so cheesy," and I was like, "Oh, she didn't get it. That's even funnier." She thought it was. She didn't know it was ironic. Anyway, I would want to tell people to go watch The Lowdown on Hulu. It's amazing. Starring Ethan Hawke. It's an Oklahoma noir, and it's set in my hometown of Tulsa. It's way better than that piece of shit Tulsa King, which isn't even filmed in Tulsa. Those posers. The Lowdown is made in Tulsa. It's a Tulsa story. It feels like my hometown, and it's a great, great noir detective story. Anyway.
Hey, producers, if you're going to make a movie in Toronto, make it in Toronto. Toronto's fine. It could be Toronto. Just let it be Toronto. Scott Pilgrim's a great movie, and it's in Toronto, and they say Toronto. Because if you tell me it's New York and it's Toronto, I'm going to know. Okay? So stop doing it.
I enjoyed the first season of Wheel of Time. The second season,
Same.
I know they changed things. They changed some story details, so of course people freaked the F out about it.
Yep. Yeah, I enjoyed the first season, but like it wasn't like I consciously bounced off the second season. It wasn't like I got to like episode 3 and was like, oh, this is dumb, and turned it off. I just found myself not wanting to go back to it.
It just wasn't. I didn't care about the characters enough really to endure additional trials they were sent through. Which is what we were talking about earlier an hour ago. Emotional connections create stakes. They did not emotionally invest me in the characters, so I did not care about the stakes they were facing, and so I stopped watching the show, because why would I watch something when I don't care either way what happens?
Look at that, like Jim knows stuff. Smart.
I am so smart. SMRT.
Where is the maw, people?
The maw.
Give me the maw.
We need maw. Give us the maw, Hollywood. We need more maw. Anyway, I think we're talking about things we've already talked about, so it's probably about time to wrap up the show.
Yeah, we brought it full circle. Like that's what we do, right?
Circle back in our second hour. We start the show over again. All right, everyone. Thanks for watching, and I just want to say that please be safe out there. Be real careful of ice and other weather events that might happen. Please, we love you. Be safe. It's a dangerous world out there, and take care of yourself. And we'll see you soon. Bye, everyone.